I'm not gonna lie, my jaw is still on the floor after watching this unfold. So much spit, and we're used to seeing spit in football games, but maybe not in this capacity. It all started when Dak Prescott allegedly spit at the ground. That's my QB, so I'm gonna stand behind him. But then Jalen Carter reacting and actually spits on Dak Prescott. Take another look at it. I know it's disgusting, but the spit making contact with Prescott. Both of these guys had a chance to sort of clear things up and tell their side of the story. So why don't you listen in? We'll start with Dak Prescott.
He was trolling, I guess you could say, trying to mess with Tyler Booker. I was just looking at him. I was right here by the two linemen, and guess I needed to spit, and I wasn't going to spit on my lineman, and I just spit ahead. But I would say he was back there where Jory was in that sense, and he asked, or he goes, "You trying to spit on me?" And at that point, I mean, I felt like he was insulting me. Like I wouldn't spit on somebody. I'm damn sure not trying to spit on you. Like we're about to play a game. I'm wondering why you're trying to mess with the rookie. And so when I stepped through, I actually say the words like, "What the hell would I? Excuse me, but I'm probably even more colorful. What would I need to spit on you for?" And he just spit on me in that moment, and it was more of a surprise than anything.
You know, it was a mistake that happened on my side, and it just won't happen again. You know, I feel bad for just my teammates and the fans out there.
All right, so we've heard both sides. Let's get the executive's perspective as we welcome in NFL analyst Amy Trask, who, as we know, knows a thing or two about running a team, the former CEO of the Oakland Raiders, the first woman to hold that title, I might add as well. Amy, we are so excited to have you here on the program, and I want to pick it up right there, the Spitgate. What goes through your mind from a CEO, a front office perspective when you see the spit fly, you see the ejection happen there for Jalen Carter? What's next?
Well, first of all, let me start this with an admission that when I go running, I spit. So I do, I get it. That said, obviously what he did was wrong and he was ejected. And, the focus is often on the impact on the team when a player is ejected. But I will tell you from my experience inside an organization, my focus is most often on the player who was ejected. He often feels far, far worse about his ejection than do his teammates. He knows he let his teammates down. He's in the locker room. He's watching the game. He's beating himself up. You know what? Sometimes players who are ejected are in tears. I was with some players when this happened. As Jalen did last night, he'll try to help his team by watching the game from the locker room and giving them his insights. But often the impact is on the player who's ejected more than it is on the team.
We have seen some reports that Dak Prescott will not be penalized for it. We don't know what kind of punishments come from Jalen Carter's standpoint. Amy, if you had to speculate here maybe, and I don't like doing that, so maybe I'll just use it. If you had to guess, what type of punishment is Jalen Carter facing here potentially?
I believe it will be a financial punishment, a fine, but not a suspension. And I feel strongly that it should not be a suspension. Other players in the past have not been suspended for spitting. I don't think he should be. And, I'll revert to being a child and say he can point at Dak and say, look, I thought he started it. So a fine, not a suspension.
Dak did add in the postgame, he said, I'm not going to lie, I'm a guy that spits a lot. I can't help where my spit goes. So he's not blameless either in this. But certainly a hot way to start week one in the NFL, Amy. It wasn't the only reason we had delays in this game. The scriptwriters, I guess, wanted to set the tone early there because then in the third quarter, you had the Miles Sanders fumble, really changed the narrative, changed the way these two teams were playing. The lightning rolls in, and then we got to wait over an hour for these guys to get back on the field. We heard from Melissa Starks about Trayvon Diggs looking for a snack while he's waiting. But what are these long periods, especially week one against your rival on the road? I mean, what type of environment are the players dealing with when you have these long delays?
Well, obviously, their impacts on the team. It can affect the momentum of a team. They're going to have to stretch again. But, Haley, my thought in these moments has always been on the impact of the fans. The players go to the locker room. They have trainers to help them stretch. They have televisions. They can discuss the game. They can have position meetings. They can have a team meeting. And yes, they can have snacks. And you know what? Shout out to the Eagles for having a snack cart sent to the Cowboys locker room. But the impact on the fans is far worse in my view. They have to go cram themselves into crowded concourses. If they want a snack, they're paying stadium prices for those snacks. If they want a restroom, there are long long lines. So yes, there's an impact on the teams, but I think the impact on the fans is far, far worse. What about the fans who are going to be there now an hour later, who may have to get up at the crack of dawn to go to work? So I skew fans in this regard.
You saw, too, that a lot of them didn't want to leave the stadium. The lower bowl there was committed to staying out in the stadium until it started raining, and then they were like, all right, we got to go. So I agree. There's not really a good fix for that, but certainly they were in for a treat for the rest of the game anyways, because if they stuck around, it was chaotic. But, of course, Amy, we know that the story for this game was already written about a week ago when the team traded Micah Parsons to the Packers. And I went back, I'm a Cowboys fan. I used to work for the team, so I have a little bit of allegiance to Dallas. But I will say, yes, Micah Parsons would have been an impact player, but I thought we did okay without him. So now that you've seen how this team looks without Micah Parsons against one of the best teams in the league, how do you reevaluate that trade?
Well, I think it's important, the point you just pointed out, that they did play one of the best, last year, the best teams in the league. A thought about Micah is this. Micah is a tremendous player, but he helps not only in his individual capacity, he helps every other player on the field. Because if you're lining up and you're facing a team with a Micah on defense, you're going to put 2 men on him. You're going to double him a lot. And football is math. It's 11 on 11. Let's do that math. If you double Micah, other people are going to be freer than they might otherwise be. So I think the loss of Micah is twofold. It's not only losing his talent, boy, oh boy, can he get to the quarterback, but it's also going to make it harder for the other people on the team because he's not there anymore drawing the double coverage. Now, I will say this. A lot of people are saying, oh, Jerry said they wanted to stop the run, but they didn't stop the run. You know what? Last night is not a good beta test for that. They played the Eagles, who last year finished number 2 against the run. So before people weigh in as to whether or not that theory is going to pan out, let's see a few more games. Next week they play the Giants. That'll be a better test.
Yeah, it's hard to test where your defense is when you get the final exam during the preseason. So I guess a good metric that there wasn't more happening there when it comes to stopping the run. But we'll have to, again, that is a concern for the Cowboys, has been for quite a few years. We saw the Packers and the Eagles open up the season last year in Brazil. It was the first time ever. We will see a Brazil game happen again tonight between the Chiefs and the Chargers. But Amy, as you know, the international game has just expanded over the last few years. I had the opportunity to go to one of the international games. I was in Germany for Chiefs Dolphins a few years ago. There's a lot that goes into it. But from the team perspective, what are the challenges of packing up your team and not only going to a new place, but a totally new country, different time zones? What are those challenges like?
Well, Haley, I believe you know of me that I am not a hot take girl, but I do get heated about people who are, whether with teams or otherwise, complaining about international games. The teams and the league could not do more than they do to make this travel, and all travel, as easy as possible. During my years in the league, we played preseason games in Japan, in England, in Mexico, and while some of those were long trips, the travel is easy, and that is not by accident. Every single bus ride, you've got a police escort. There's never a line. You don't line up to go through TSA. Often TSA comes to you at your team facility, or you get whisked through it at the airport. As I mentioned, the buses, you're always getting a police escort. By the way, the team gets to the hotel, there's no check-in line. They meet you in the lobby at a table and hand you your keys. They've got the elevators held and open. So yes, some of these trips are a great distance. They are not difficult. The travel is easy. And I do get heated when people complain about, oh, the international games, they're so hard. We should all be so lucky as to, excuse me, we're having a little, it's not an earthquake, it's just some construction shaking. We should all be so lucky to travel that easily.
We're lucky that you were able to handle that so seamlessly. My goodness, you are a pro. I will mention, Amy, just to that point, the other side of the international fans. I sat next to a family that was from Germany at that game, and the way that they lean into the passion, right? This guy told me that they go to bed at like 2 p.m. on Saturday so that they can wake up in enough time to watch the NFL games on TV. So we do need to embrace that this is going to continue to grow, and we're seeing Rio de Janeiro also on the docket. So get used to seeing those international games. Amy, before we go,
absolutely right.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the college level here. Of course, Bill Belichick, his college debut did not go how we expected it to, I think, and he knows that. But the more interesting story to come out of that is what has happened afterwards. We're learning that there are no scouts allowed at Bill Belichick's practice anymore, specifically when it comes to the Patriots. How much of this do you think is just the Bill Belichick way being translated to college football, or do you think there might be something still between him and his relationship with his former employer?
Well, when I learned of this, it struck me as petty and it struck me as petulant, and that's not leadership. You are the head coach of a college football team. You're a leader for these young men. And I don't like it, Haley. I don't think it prioritizes the interest of the players, but it just struck me, as I said, petty and petulant.
We're learning that football in both college and the NFL is petty and petulant. Just look at the guys talking all the mess on the college football field. Amy, this was so much fun. We're tight on time, but I can't wait to check in with you as the season goes along. Thanks for being with us today.
Look forward to it, Haley. Thank you.
And how about this? This is my first time seeing this on the big screens.
What a squad.
The NFL conversations continuing into Sundays. We've got game day recap coming every Sunday at 8:30. Make sure you join myself alongside Damian Harris, Pete Prisco, Rand Carthan, our former GM. Also on this show, guys, we'll be bringing you the latest when it comes to the Sunday action in the NFL. We are so back, baby.
Heck yeah.